into the real part of the meeting. So, oh, yeah, recording in progress. So welcome. Sorry, I'll just getting back to the right screen here. Okay, so we are going to start our meeting. If you'll believe it, it's already May in terms of like where we are just in the calendar. And this is actually the meeting at which we're going to be electing the officers for the next school year, which, you know, from a PTA perspective, arguably is like we've come a full circle on a school year, which is just hard to believe. So why don't we turn it over to Ms. Prin for her update, and then we can go through the rest of the agenda.
Hi, everybody. I don't have a whole lot to update you. We are finishing up some of the clubs. We have a soccer club. We have the chess club. We had a crochet club, a French club. So we have a few teacher-led clubs still in progress. We are heavily registering for our summer school program. That will begin July 6th and go till July 29th. Mr. Bowerman is really kind of spearheading the registration for that, but we're getting a very good response for that. I mentioned before, I can just mention now, we are and I'm sure you've seen that MCPS has changed the guidelines and protocols for the COVID, meaning we really don't do the contact tracing unless there are 3 or more positive cases within a classroom. And you will get notification of that. If there's a positive case in a classroom, I'm sending the whole class a ConnectEd message that would say, we just want to let you know somebody in the class has been tested positive. Please monitor for symptoms. So you are aware. Another way to check for the number of cases in our schools to go to the MCPS COVID dashboard, and it updates, I think, daily. We've seen just a very slight uptick. I thought we'd see it after spring break, but that sort of maintained. We're just seeing it in the last few weeks, and I know other schools are seeing it as well. Our lost and found is overloaded. We have the best dressed students in the county by far. And we have some beautiful pieces of clothing, lunch boxes, water bottles. I am, for the extravaganza this weekend, going to put a big sign and put it out there, because I think what doesn't get picked up, we're going to, wash and donate. But I'm hoping to get rid of a lot of those things this weekend so they can find their way back home, because honestly, it is very good things. And I can't imagine families aren't missing it. The kids go outside, they get hot, they drop their jacket. We do a good job finding most, but it's just through the year, it's gotten pretty full. So unless anybody has questions, I think that's it for an update.
You know, Ms. Prim, maybe we can set up a time to talk later about next year, but has there been any guidance from the county about whether any of these COVID protocols will continue next year? And I'm not even necessarily thinking masking. It's more like returning to the previous lunches, and we used to mix classes for specials. And, you know, there was just sort of some of those things that had gone by the wayside. And I'm curious if any of that's been discussed.
So it's funny because we still have families on either end of that spectrum, and then a lot that are in the middle, meaning they still want everybody as separated as can be, wearing masks, as much as possible. And then we have some that don't feel so much the need. There's it goes on either end. So I think we've done a good job as a school to try and balance that the best way, keeping students' safety and wellness in mind. We will be bringing the lunch tables back next year unless something unforeseen happens. Our plan is to put lunch tables back in. But because we weren't sure where it was going to go in spring, and there was that other variant, it's not an easy fix, because it involves informing teachers, teaching kids what it looks like to sit at a table versus a desk. How close can you sit? What can you share? So we kept it as is. We are providing the outdoor lunch option, but we limited it because of the staffing to staff it. Because we're staffing outside and inside now for lunches, which we did in the fall, but it has become more of a challenge in the spring. So we do it on days we can do it. Some days it's just too windy, and honestly, they take a grilled cheese thing and the bag goes blowing across, and building service has to chase it across. So on days that we can do it outside, like today, it was beautiful. Students opted to eat out, but we did a rotating schedule where 2 classes go out and 2 classes go in. And in some grades, we have 3 sections or 5 sections. We divide it up as evenly as we can. I don't know if we'll keep that for next year because some kids really enjoy it. They like being outside, and but next year definitely the cafeteria tables will be back. Kids in the classroom are in groups now, so there's no real guidelines for you have to keep them 3 feet or 6 feet apart anymore.
Thank you.
I have a question about that. You mentioned staffing was a little bit of an issue for outdoor recess or outdoor lunch. Is that, I know I have a friend at a different school and their parents are helping like go in at lunch and help monitor kids. Is that something that you could use? Like, I'd be happy to volunteer if that would help with getting more classes outside.
So it's staffing for sure. And if anybody wants to volunteer, we have had volunteers come for lunch and recess before to help. And what happens is what we've experienced is they come for a couple weeks, and then it's like for staffing to say, okay, this parent's coming every week, and then they don't show, then we have to scramble, wait, who can fill in that day? So it makes it hard. So we do what we know, available staff that we absolutely have. But yeah, if anybody wants to volunteer and come in and help, we can have volunteers now. So that would be great.
Any other questions for Ms. Prin? Great. Thank you very much. So next is the election of the PTA officers for next school year. So officially our terms go, I think, was it July 1 to July 1. So Brian Price was the nominating committee head. Unfortunately, he had to drop. So Ms. Prin is going to stand in. Basically how this works is that there's a nominating committee that's formed. They solicit interest among parents as to who would like to run, or in our case, run again, and then puts forth the slate. Technically, per our bylaws, that slate has to be presented at the April meeting and then voted on in the May meeting. We didn't have an April meeting, so you probably all saw an email about this. And now Ms. Prin's going to present the slate, and then we will have a membership vote, and we can maybe ask each of the 4 people who are up to say just a couple words about, why they'd like to stay in the position. So Ms. Prin.
Okay, so I'm just going to read the slate as is. For president, we have Amanda Roberts. For vice president, Teresa Clark. For treasurer, Keith Vance. I feel like I should be clapping between lines. For secretary, Eric Palkovich Carr. And that would be for the executive board members.
Thank you. So, I mean, I don't know, we're a small group tonight. Obviously it's a total replay of this year. So, obviously this is, I think, the way that our bylaws work, it's a 2-year term limit, which I think is personally a good amount of time. It's a lot of work. I think I can only handle 2 years. But I look forward to a second year because you spend so much of the first year just sort of getting up to speed. I'm excited personally to continue in this position because I do feel like I'm finally hitting my stride between just finally understanding everything, and also with COVID, things going back a little bit to normal or more normal. I also am kind of excited because I'm going to be a true Maryvale parent, as I just learned yesterday that my youngest will be in French and my oldest will be in English. So I'm going to like be able to straddle that divide personally and have firsthand experience about each of those two programs. So looking forward to that. Teresa, what do you just want to say just a couple words about your interest in continuing?
Thanks. I didn't prepare my stump speech, but so I appreciate it. I appreciate being nominated. And like Amanda said, it really does take some time to sort of settle into these roles. So it'd be great to do it again. One thing I'm looking forward to next year is, we've got an uptick in volunteerism toward the second half of the year as things are getting more normal. And so we really want, and I'll be helping with this to take people who had sort of informal roles and transition them into board positions and future officers, and so that we really have a sustained group of folks that we're working with. So I appreciate all of you who are on the call today and trying to keep some of the easy stuff that we did this year. I think we really hit on a few things that people like, and so where we can make our lives easier and build community, I think we should keep doing that. So thanks.
Thank you. Team Vance. I mean, Keith Vance is the official name, but we know it's a team back there.
Yeah, it definitely is. So I'm happy to continue on as treasurer for another year to keep the continuity going. It's the treasurer role. I'd like to know, Acacia is putting in as co-treasurer, putting in easily 6 hours a week or more. I mean, she's putting in probably 30 hours a month in treasurer work. So, and I help out with going to the bank and doing certain things, but it's a lot. It's a huge lift, and it's a really critical role. I mean, you're running a nonprofit, it's a lot of work, and it's important that it's done well, and Acacia keeps everything all lined up, and happy to keep that going.
Thank you. And Eric?
Sure. And I have really enjoyed my time, and this has been a great team. Teresa, Amanda, Team Acacia, you all have been great, and I look forward to keep supporting you all.
Okay. So Ms. Pern, maybe if you could call for a vote.
Okay. So do I do each one separately, or do I
think
do
you
them all
can do the
together?
slate.
I can do the whole
Can
slate.
someone correct me? Is that wrong? I think it's okay.
Okay. So I will present this slate for Amanda Roberts for president, Teresa Clark for vice president, Keith Vance for treasurer, and Eric Palkovich Carr for secretary. And I present this, and we're going to take a vote on that, right?
Is
So
there a second?
Well, I'll second.
Great. Then I guess all in favor? Guess I can vote. All
Aye.
right.
yes.
Aye. Any opposed? All right. Well, we are reelected. Thank you all. Now back to the budget. I mean, back to the, well, actually, yeah, budget is next. Back to the agenda. So Acacia, I'm going to pass it back to you for some updates on the budget that you need a membership vote for. Thank you, Ms. Prin.
Okay, so I have some changes that we needed to make to kind of keep everything in line and not go over any line items in our budget by the end of the year. We did really well with fundraising this year, and so we were able to ask our staff for some requests and suggestions for things that they would like funding for, and we were able to fund almost all of them, but we needed to make some changes in order to do that. So I'll just, lay out the requests and then show you where we made changes in the budget. So Mr. Mendy asked for $120 to purchase student desk shields, and Madam Loomis asked for $81.61 for books for her classroom that she purchased. Ms. Grunmeyer asked for $159 for summer school supplies, and Ms. Chittum wanted to throw a pizza party for the students who led the morning meetings and asked for $300 for that. Ms. Ritt asked for $600 to support the students with counseling materials and PBIS incentives. And Mr. Klaas asked for $1,076 in musical instruments. So we were able to move things around and fund all of those requests. And we're pretty proud that we're able to do extra this year, which we have not been able to do the last couple of years. So it feels pretty good and like a nice accomplishment as a PTA to get our stride back. So here I'll share the, doing this twice. Okay, the budget overview for the general membership. And so this is kind of the budget that I come up with in Excel. And then as we approve it, I go and enter it all into our QuickBooks and stuff. So we make sure we stay within budget. So I didn't make any changes. So this 88,266 is what we carried forward to start the year with. So we, have that balance carried forward. And then we have our list of income, costs of goods sold, and expenses. And then what we anticipate carrying forward into the summer and into next year. We'll be doing this again next month for the summer budget, but so this is the new budget. And so I'll kind of say a couple of the changes that we made. We didn't make any changes to the donation line. The fundraising increased by $7,600 for the book fair. That did well. Membership dues stayed the same. The other line increased by $1,400 for the new t-shirts, which were wonderful and brought in more money for us than we expected. And here our cost of goods sold increased by quite a bit to counteract the amount that we pay for the Scholastic books after the fact. We collect all the money and then we have to write them a check. And a little bit there for Spring Fling, which is coming up, and that's going to have hopefully a lot of fun activities for our community. So our committee expenses remain the same. The family engagement program went down a little from extra funds from the science fair that we moved into covering Sharona's pizza party. And then fundraising expenses increased by almost $500 for Spring Fling, and operational expenses $10 to cover more bank fees. Then the other place where we increased was the program support, and that's where we needed to increase by $1,100 to cover the new requests. So these changes resulted in an overall increase of our net operating revenue by $1,225 and brings us exactly where we need to be to move forward into the next year. So I propose, because somebody want to move to approve or have questions? We can stop sharing.
I'll move to approve if there aren't any questions.
Okay, anyone second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Great. So that new budget is passed. Thank you. And that's it for the treasurer's update.
Thank you very much, Acacia. As I noted during our board meeting, there are a million moving parts just today alone. So I really appreciate you doing that. Okay, our next item here is an update on the Extravaganza. So it's coming together really well. I think everyone knows it's this Saturday from 12 to 3. There are 3 main parts of it. The silent auction with which Sandra and Rachel have been doing an awesome job of gathering donations. We are doing the international fair portion, which last I saw, I think there's about 15 countries represented. That's our old international night, but now international fair. And that's going to, it's an opportunity for our families to kind of showcase their countries and cultures, etc. And then outside on the field will be this kind of mini spring fling. I don't pretend to be able to pull off everything Miss Simcox always used to do, but we've got, I think, 10 carnival games planned. We are going to be selling pizza. We're going to be selling popsicles and soda. And just kind of having a, not to mention like the playground space and that sort of thing outside to have kind of a fun experience. We are selling tickets to play the games, but they're only 25 cents each. It's not about the fundraising. It's really about just kind of somewhat limiting so that kids don't keep playing. Like, I mean, we have 600 kids at our school. I don't think all 600 are going to show up, but like we have a lot of prizes, but at some point you run out when 600 kids just incessantly get in line and keep playing games. But I think it'll be, a fun time, a good time. So I am going to send out a mass email tomorrow, just sort of mentioning all of this again. It's been in newsletters and what have you, but just kind of to use it as an opportunity to once again solidify, invite, etc. Now, 2 of these pieces are indoors, the silent auction and the international fair. So, I mean, I guess, Ms. Prin, unless it's a violation of like MCPS policies around masks optional, I was going to put in my email that has been an uptick in cases and masks are encouraged. I can't say required. I know there's COVID in our school, and the last thing we want to do is have this be a super spreader event around our whole community. So is that a problem for me to explicitly say masks encouraged, or is that like a faux pas?
I know that we don't say that at school. We always say masks are optional. That's the MCPS language now, and we respect the choice. I think parents are aware because of the communications I've been sending out, and it's on the news that as well. So we still do have kids wearing masks. We have some staff wearing masks, some kids wearing masks. So I feel those that are, worried about it will wear them, and those that are not will not.
Okay. I was just thinking because this is a different mixing, right? I mean, because it's across classes and parents and siblings and okay. I guess the best I can say is masks are optional, but I'm just trying to mitigate against like this literally being a super spreader event that goes across our entire school and gets everybody sick. Because right now, if there's a case in a class, that's a bad thing, but for the most part, that's contained to a class. And, as we are looking at this, so, I mean, there's only so much we can do, but I will include something in my email, just sort of softly reminding people that masks are optional. And, I know me personally, my family will be probably not outside, but inside, we'd want to wear them just to kind of set that example.
You could always just say with a slight uptick in positive cases, wearing masks correctly is as a reminder. Wearing masks, you could do the reminders from the language: washing hands frequently, wearing masks. Taken right from the message, and just remind people of ways to mitigate the spread.
Okay.
And maybe we could make a point. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
Maybe we could make a point that, the food service will be outside for the most part. I mean, there might be something with international, but all the PTA sold food will be outside.
Okay. All right. And obviously people who don't feel comfortable won't come. I just really don't want to end our school year because a PTA event got like everybody sick. So that's all. Okay. Rain plan. Yes. The gym, which obviously, so 2/3 of these were going to be indoors anyway. And the gym would be the location where we would be doing the carnival games. That doesn't solve this conversation around masks. I don't know if there would be like an area with an overhang where we could, like sell pizza or something, but we would have the gym as the maybe people could take their pizza to go. Sure looks like, is it really? The Washington Post is saying more dry than wet.
I mean, I don't trust it
It'll
that far in
change
advance anyway. Who knows? So yeah, don't make any plans today. But for that reason, I
do
retract
think
my comment about saying the food will be outside. Who knows what we'll do.
Yeah. One thing is we get a lot fewer people, I think. So I don't know what the drop dead date is on ordering the food. Like I talked to the guy from Giuseppe's now, we're planning 300 people. And if it's raining, I just don't think we'd have 300, which just means we'd have a lot of pizza, and we're buying the pizza in advance. So, I mean, yeah, discount, but we don't want to end up with a whole bunch of unsold pizza. So, okay. So it's exciting. It's wonderful. Let's hope it doesn't rain. Let's hope it's not a super spreader. I think the bigger issue is that this is a great, I felt personally this way at the science fair, as it was like a true like return to a community feeling after 2 years of not physically gathering in the same space. Yes, Melissa, that link that's in the chat already, the Maryvale.live, it has the link to the silent auction there. And I will send it out to everybody tomorrow as well. But, just kind of, it's great to be able to host events again and to get together and, yes, it's fundraising, but also it's meant to be fun. So any questions about the extravaganza, anything I need to be including in my email tomorrow? Sandra, anything you've got?
No, I think everything I've sent you is good. If you want like an update, so far we have already raised $372. We have 22 on our things, and that's so things are hopefully gonna go well.
Did you get the email about 2 more Giuseppe's? Awesome. Yeah. That's good. Apparently his wife taught at Maryvale for the first 5 years of her career. So
Wonderful.
I don't know if you know the guy who owns Giuseppe's, Scott. I don't know his last name, but they've been very good at partnering. So that's great. Okay.
Amanda?
Go ahead.
I just have a question about the auction. I noticed there's none of like the teacher, or I couldn't find like the teacher donated stuff that we've had in the past. Is that still coming, or is that somewhere else?
So we're slowly making our things up on the website. Yeah, so I've got everything that needed to go up as far as items donated, and those half of the teacher items are being raffled, so they're not going to be put up, and they're just going to be presented at the silent auction. But the things that aren't raffled, they will be hopefully put up tonight. So
great, thank you. All right, anything else on the extravaganza? All right, and Ms. Prin, we're planning for 300, last chance on my pizza order. Is that sounding about right? I mean, I was thinking about movie night. I was thinking we have 600 kids at our school. That's less than half plus their families. Is this like a gut check? Sound right to people?
I think it sounds right. I know in the past, if you over order, like people sell the whole pizza to take home with them at the end. But I think it sounds right. If it's not enough, we can always just place another quick order. So.
Or we just run out. I mean,
or we
the
just
festivities can happen with no pizza left.
I think that's great.
Okay, great. It was more just like, because I think we're all shocked by how many people came to movie night. And so these are just new waters. Like, we haven't been together. We have in the holding school and all of that we're like trying to kind of feel for how many people actually come to these. All right, so moving on, fundraising update. Sandra, I know we've covered actually a lot of this already, but do you want to give anything else on the book fair, past or silent auction future?
Just, I guess, I know I did mention in our last meeting, but yeah, for the book fair, we earned a $29.21 in cash profit. Sorry, Ellie, I'm in a meeting right now. Daddy went to go pick up sister, so I'm with the children. But for this silent auction, we're due to at least, if we sell everything for the value that we have projected, we could be bringing in about $6,000. But I know last year not everything went for the value that it retails for, which is fine. But if we get things marketed, if you guys can invite friends and people from far away, anyone is able to participate in this. Although I guess if some of the items do require shipping. So if that can get tricky, but we're willing to ship if they pay for shipping, if they want it that desperately. So yeah, just getting the info out about the auction. The more people we can reach, the more bidders we get. The more bidders we get, the more competition, and that will hopefully drive up the price.
Thank you. Any questions or comments for Sandra? And when we're past all of this, because we were talking about like this earlier, it's a little hard to think past Saturday. We can have some conversations about if there's anything at all we do over the summer. Like last year we did that play day at Carmen's, and I think that was a really nice thing. I don't think we overschedule. The summer is meant to be our downtime, but it is nice to maybe do one thing. And also, Ms. Prin, that Safeway request came in out of the blue. So there's going to be, I think it's a week, the Safeway on Rockville Pike will give us a portion of all of their sales, so we can all do our grocery shopping there for a week. I have to look up the dates, but every once in a while they fall in our lap without us even trying, so that's nice. All right, and Sandra, thank you also. I mean, all of the budget stuff that Acacia did earlier today, we are climbing out of a deep hole. We are raising money. We are able to actually fund teacher requests and think about new initiatives, and a lot of that's due to you. So we really thank you. We appreciate that. Great. All right. So that brings us to the other business portion. Is there any other topics anybody wants to bring up? It got cut a little short at the end of the board meeting, but does anybody have any thoughts they want to throw out now about the remainder of the year and or summer or early school year? Not that we're necessarily going to act on them, but it's always good to kind of plant that seed. Does anybody have thoughts on what they'd like to see next year or over the summer?
I thought your picnic idea for the start of the year sounded really good. If like maybe combine that sort of with like the Cougar kickoff we used to do. Yeah. I mean, I think that sounds like fun.
You call it the Cougar kickoff picnic.
Yeah.
Cougar kickoff.
Yeah.
I know there's another C word. But yeah, it's been one of the great things Teresa's done is quarterly we've had calls with the presidents of the PTAs of the other schools that feed into Rockville High School. And like, that's where Cougar Story Time came from. The Meadow Hall did the picnic. That's where we got this idea. The t-shirts are a Meadow Hall thing. And I have to say, like, we've really benefited from having those connections to other local schools and coming up with ideas. So I envision that like maybe the second weekend back, without looking at a calendar, like a Saturday. And, it can just, if we could get like the Kona ice truck and we set up a PTA table and it's otherwise just every family brings their own blanket and their own food. That could just be a really nice way to kind of bring everybody back, and we can call it Cougar Kickoff just because that sounds alliterative and cool, but in functionality, it would be a picnic. And which isn't so different. The Cougar Kickoff we do is basically a play date with coffee and donuts. The difference is we don't even have to buy the coffee and donuts.
I mean, we could spring for drinks or something, something small.
Yeah, or something. I mean, something, yeah. Or even like Freezy Pops, right? We give every kid a Freezy Pop or something just small that's as much just kind of a gesture as anything.
Another thing we did, I think at one of the Cougar kickoffs, sorry, not on video, was used book giveaway. I know we had talked about doing that at the Extravaganza. I can't remember whether that's actually happening or not, but that's another thing that we can do if we have stuff to offload.
Yeah, good suggestion. So we do have some used books left over. I'm happy to put them out at the Extravaganza. I mean, it was just sort of a come one, come all. And they've, of course, been a little picked over because that's what's left after everybody's come through. But, I guess alternatively, we keep them till next year. It's just, I don't know that these will be popular next year either. Do people want to give them away at the kickoff or hold on to them till next year?
I would think maybe we could hold them and then people could bring some to donate for the kickoff and then have more stuff. But
kickoff.
The less we have to think about this week, the better.
Oh my God, yeah, I can't. Can't. All right. Anything else just before we adjourn?
I do have one.
Okay.
Go ahead,
is that okay? So going back to Natalie's question about teacher donated gifts, I will say that there aren't very many. I think I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 teachers who donated. So if you guys maybe could reach out to your child's teacher and be like, hey, are you donating anything for the silent auction? I'd love to bid. I'm just to maybe try to get some more options. That would be great. And if you're curious if your child's teacher is donating, I can let you know. So.
Oh yes. Thank you, Teresa. Yeah, I know it's a small crew right now, but there's some of you who don't have a board title, so we're coming after you. Yes, so we just elected the 4 executive committee members, which is great, and we have wonderful board members. That's who, you know, Natalie and Sandra and Acacia and others are. But we also have a lot of open board positions that we will be looking to fill next year. Some turnover, parents leaving, some that were never filled, like communications chair, programs and events, which would be awesome to have. So, you know, just kind of spreading the word as you think about capacity for next year, we will definitely be looking for additional help. So, all right. Anything else before we wrap up? All right. Well, thank you all. I think I'll see most of you on Saturday and looking forward to it. All right. Bye, everyone.